welcome back to our coverage of the 2014 World Championship. I'm here with AHQ, Maven in the mid lane, West Door. Definitely a crowd favorite here. First off, West Door, a very big day for you guys today, but how have you reflected on the team's performance so far in the tournament?
West Door，请问到目前为止，你们对整场大赛的感觉是什么？
很多很强的高手，对，然后希望自己之后可以那个表现得更好。
There's lots of elite players, and he hopes he could do even better.
Well, let's talk a little more about your personal performance. A lot of eyes were on you for carrying that AHQ team. How happy are you with your performance so far?
你是有名的 AP carry， 大家都很关注你的表现。你对自己的表现评价如何呢？现在？
我觉得我表现得不好，尤其是在对上 EDG 的第一场的时候。
I don't think I performed that well, especially against EDG.
All right, well, as you mentioned, the game coming up versus EDG will be so important for you guys. What is the hardest thing in that EDG team to play against? What are they good at?
说，那你觉得 EDG 最难缠的地方是什么呢？他们的优势是什么呢
？EDG 是很容易抓住你破绽的地方，尤其是他们的 jungle 很会带风向。
EDG is very good at exposing your mistakes and your weakness, especially their jungle.
Well, that'll be a great matchup later today. Also the matchup versus DP today for you guys. Final question, what has the experience been like to getting to play here in front of your home crowd who's been supporting you so heavily?
在家乡这么多粉丝前比赛，你的感觉是什么呢？
很谢谢他们到场来支持，我们会打出一场没有遗憾的比赛。
We thank them for their support and coming to support us, and we'll try to leave no regrets on the game.
Wow, that will be some great games today. Thank you very much and good luck. All right, we've got our big brains at the desk standing by to preview our first match, so take it away.
Thank you very much, Ox. Big brains indeed. Taking it to the stage for Game 1 is the North American LCS's Team Solo Mid versus Starhorn Royal Club from China's LPL. This is actually the first of several battles for seeding today, with TSM just one game behind Royal Club. I want to start by talking about TSM. The only loss that they have suffered this group stage has been at the hands of Starhorn Royal Club, and as a team, they have gotten stronger as the games have progressed, ending with a very definitive win over TPA yesterday.
Yeah, as a team, they definitely progressed. But individually speaking, I think Bjergsen really showed up this tournament so far. He's been playing really solid. I think the other lanes are more variables. I think Dyrus is in generally solid, but once he falls through, that's when TSM gets really far behind. And yeah, bot lane has been wishy-washy, but I really hope they step up in the next game.
I think something to point out is that all these Chinese teams really like to focus the top lane with the jungle ganks, and I don't think that Amazing and Dyrus have just as much synergy as these Chinese teams have, so they want to keep moving forward. They're really going to have to step it up.
Yeah, and I think that we see Uzi camping the bottom lane a lot too, because they are or InSec camping for Uzi a lot in the bottom lane because they are very dependent on his ability to carry. And the main problem that I see with TSM right now is, yes, Bjergsen's doing great, but when TSM loses two lanes, they can almost never win the game. And moving forward, when we have tougher competition against very good lanes across the board, that's when TSM kind of falters. They know what to do when they're ahead. They have big problems when they're behind.
Yeah, I kind of have to bounce off that money, Chris, too, because you're right. Kind of factoring what you said, also what we heard from the interview a little while back, where they said Royal Club kind of blindsided us with some of the picks there. We weren't ready to adapt in the middle of all this. It seems like TSM hasn't played against many teams like this. They're one of the best team-fighting teams in North America. They're not used to a team that can out-team fight them. And these guys need to find a new way to play the game to not just get wrecked by Uzi every time.
Yeah, not only that, Starhorn Royal Club absolutely decimated them when InSec was playing Rengar. Picks and bans didn't go their favor. TSM, they pulled out the blind Rise, blind Z, and we've been discussing Amazing's comment yesterday. We were saying we can't really go that route. Let's quickly just talk about Starhorn Royal Club on the other side. We've highlighted how they, do rely on Uzi, how InSec has been hit or miss, but I think as a team, Starhorn Royal Club have stepped up from their regional qualifiers to the group stage games that we've seen them playing thus far.
I think one of the things that I like about Starhorn so far is that they do focus their bot lane a lot. They want to make sure that Uzi ends up carrying, but they don't do it in a way that it's, constantly camp bottom lane. I like how they put some attention top, and then they're so good with the TPs from top lane that they basically make it a 4v2 bot lane and just put all their strength into bot lane once their top lane gets going.
Final thoughts before we get to predictions, Crepo?
Yeah, I agree with Crumbs. Just a small gank early game to get that bot lane rolling, just have that perma push going, because Uzi plays very far up in his lane all the time. He's always pushing, and the way he does that is either he gets in from level 1 or jungler comes in and helps him push, and then you can get all the attention to top lane, and in return, your top laner will thank you for the jungle presence by TPing down. So it's a good system.
Well, let's take a look who you guys think is actually going to be victorious in this matchup. Starhorn Royal Club or Team Solo Mid. Crumbs, you're first on my hit list. Who's picking up the win and why?
I'm going to have to go with Starhorn here. I think that it's going to be almost the same thing that happened the first game they played. That top lane out-pressures, TP's bot lane, and then they snowball from that.
Freak, do you share the same opinion?
Starhorn Royal Club, yeah. I think they're just a stronger team.
Well, strong words. Monte Cristo, next one in the line.
Yeah, I got to say Starhorn too. We saw Amazing talking about problems with early picking Ryze and Zed. That should not be a problem at all. Many teams will do that over the course of this tournament, and that gives me a lot of concerns for TSM.
All right, Crepo, apple pie, you turned to it. Do you believe in it, or will it fall prey to Royal Club?
I'm going to take the smart approach. Since I predicted TSM to finish first, I will now predict Royal to actually win this match, so I'll be right at least in half of the time.
So a clean sweep for Royal Club. Over on LOLesports.com, you guys at home have been voting, and 64% of you are siding with Team Solo Mid, so going against the analyst desk. So we'll see who's going to pick up the win as we send it over to the guys at the caster desk for the game. There is one name in the jungling business, and that every player knows and respects. It's InSec. And for TSM's jungler, Amazing, he looks forward for the chance to go against the pillar of the game once more.
InSec is obviously one of the biggest innovators in terms of jungling. I looked up to him because his mechanics are just like top-notch, probably the best in the game. Me and my brother were always competing with one another, so we just try to out-mechanic one another in terms of Lee Sin mechanics, try to InSec one another.
제 아이디를 불러서 기술 이름을 지어줬잖아요. 아이디도 자주 불러서 기분이 좋고 게임하면서 제 아이디를 남겼다는 거에 대해서 그냥 상당히 만족하고 있어요.
There's Diamond Procs and there's InSec, and that's basically it. The top tier junglers that like innovated stuff, brought to the highest stage there is, and showed that they can pull it off.
제가 할 당시에는 리신을 딱히 많이 안 해서 그러니까 모든 플레이어들이 하지 않아서 그래서 좀 떴던 것도 있고 지금은 이제 정글러들이 거의 기본적으로 리신을 다 해야 되거든요. 그래서 시기를 잘 탔던 것 같아요.
I think they're both really good mechanically, but I think Amazing has the better edge against InSec.
我对InSec的评价是非常高的，因为在我们比赛或者是训练赛的时候，他的carry能力是非常强的，所以说我还是比较相信InSec。
I gotta pull something off, like basically gotta InSec the InSec.
InSecception, if you will. Hello everyone, I'm Rivington Bizen III, and joining me on the caster desk for our first three games is Joshua Jat Leesman and Martin DeFicio Lunga. Guys, it's going to be some crazy games coming out today, starting with Team Solo Mid versus Starhorn Royal Club, and it is going to be a barn burner. Let's get our day rolling real quick with the roster rundown. On the blue side, it will be Team Solo Mid. That means it's Dyrus in the top lane, Amazing in the jungle, Bjergsen in mid, WildTurtle at 80 carry, and Lustboy on support.
And on the red side, of course, representing the LPL, it is Starhorn Royal Club. Cole in the top lane, InSec in the jungle, Corn in the mid lane, Uzi on 80 carry, and Zero on support.
And our featured matchup will be heading to the south side of the map for the showdown of supports, Lustboy versus Zero.
Yeah, it's funny actually, it's two Korean supports on a Chinese and a North American team.
Yeah.
But really, there's some pretty big differences in play styles in lane. Lustboy very defensive, and Zero is ridiculously offensive along with Uzi.
Yeah, we see it just looking at the rune pages. I mean, we have Zero running 80 runes on his Jian with 1% crit, and we have just full defensive runes on the side of Lustboy. So very different play style. And then also when it comes down to like warding on the map here, vision control.
There's some weird stuff there with the vision control, because we saw Lustboy generally has very strong vision control, but as far as wards placed per minute, actually, he's 7th out of the 8th players in the group, whereas Zero is actually 2nd, but it gets a little deeper than that, actually.
Yeah, so TSM as a team actually plays more wards per minute than Royal Club, and it's simply because like someone like Amazing, he plays a lot of Lee Sin, he will have the side stone, and then what happens on TSM is every single player will actually ask Lustboy in the late game, where should we place our wards? And he's kind of like dictating the entire team, saying, let's ward here now, let's go here, and set it up. So while Zero has more wards placed, Lustboy seems to be the guy just controlling the vision completely.
And I like to call it efficiency of warding. Everyone can just buy as many wards as you want, drop them in the base, and say you got more wards. But it doesn't matter unless you're putting them in the right spot.
Have to put those in the right spot, and we'll see what happens and what kind of champions they can get out of this select to get in to those spots. And the bans come out. Rengar immediately, something everybody thought had to be done.
Yeah, so we were talking about picks and bans here, and what we would do would be with TSM. Rengar, Lee Sin, and then would be a Zillion ban as well coming in here. So far, 2 for 2.
Starheart and Royal Club, we were going to say Maokai Alistair, and then the third ban was a mystery. The Elise ban actually really surprises me because Amazing's Elise was bad the last time they played.
Yeah, so Royal Club should have like one free ban, which could be the Elise right here, because Maokai should be banned and Alistar should be banned from them. And then we have this third ban where we're not really sure where it's going to go. It was the Elise here. Alistar should be the last ban for Royal Club. And I wonder if Team Solomid still wants to ban Lee Sin now that Elise is banned.
That's the question.
They have to consider, we have to consider, they know exactly what they're doing. This was the last match of day 1. So they've had tons of time to watch each other play up until now. So they must feel that Elise ban is worthy.
With the Lucian ban, that almost necessitates a Lee Sin first pick. There's so many things. Janna, Lee Sin, Rise, all this stuff.
It's open now. Wow.
I feel like you have to go Janna first pick just to break up the Tristana Janna lane, especially now also with Lucian being banned away by TSM, because if they don't take Janna right here, Royal Club can lock in Janna and Tristana at the same time.
I mean, they might do that. They're going between...
Oh, it's going to be Janna Tristana then.
Or is it?
Or is
Rise is still a pretty important top lane pick here.
So this Lee Sin first pick is only because Elise was banned here on the side of Royal Club. They want to make sure Amazing has a champion where he can try and counter some of the early aggression we can see from InSec here. He might go for the Kha'Zix pick, but they just lost to Janna.
I think losing Janna is really, really big. They're going to make sure
to split the Trist.
They should make sure to decouple it. They've banned away Lucian, so they want to take Trist. As far as these 280 carries are concerned, those are the top 280 carries. Obviously, Uzi has played that Vayne game. And Nami is a good support as far as the matchup is concerned against Janna.
It is, and just the fact you take this Tristana away so you don't have this fast pushing lane in the bottom lane, which we have seen from Uzi and Zero, which nobody seemed to be able to deal with at all, is a big deal. We have seen this before though in the LPL, where we have Caitlyn instead of the Tristana, and it's the same deal. You fast push a lane from level 1, you take down the tower, then you swap to top lane, you take down another tower, and then the entire team in the end can just focus on this mid tower here. So we're gonna see the same deal from Royal Club, just because of this Janna pick as well.
Yeah, one of the big reasons Zero runs AD runes on Janna as well is so they can fast push if we get a lane swap. But even if they don't get a lane swap, they have Caitlyn, so it's kind of a damned if you do, damned if you don't if you're TSM here.
And also the AD runes on Janna means at level 1, you can actually push slightly faster and you can try and get the edge and try and get the early level 2 and then use it to really pressure. And again, it's all about just auto-attacking now for both Caitlyn and Janna.
Can't forget about that crit rune as well for Zero.
Oh yeah, 1% crit of course.
1% crit coming out on the support. We saw Dyrus bring out the Rumble, played it quite well actually, and he's been doing a lot better as he's getting himself into the fights and not just playing a safe lane.
Aside from the few tweaks in the ban phase, this is going about how we expected. I thought Dyrus would take Rumble into Rise. We also have a big question mark next to Yasuo and whether or not this will be the last pick, because it does kind of fit into this comp.
Well, the only problem for Royal Club is the only real knockup is actually Janna. Right here for the Yasuo, so it would be pretty risky. And Fizz being locked in. Again, this is the second most banned champion against Korn in the LPL. 20 bans in the LPL.
43% of them are targeted right at him, and the first time these guys played, TSM made sure to ban that. So now they have to face it. It was a bloody first game. 30 minutes long with 30 kills, but it was 25-5.
So on the side of Royal Club here, we have actually a very teamfight focused comp, which of course we know they love the teamfight here. Fizz scales so well into late game and is one of the best late game team fighting assassins because first of all you build the hourglass, you can dodge around a lot of damage with your E as well, so you can actually go into the backline of the enemy and get out safely as well, which is a big deal where other assassins go in, trade one for one of the AD carry and just simply die here. So a lot of late game team fight here from Royal Club, but they have to get to the late game because the mid game is not looking very strong.
Obviously, they have the Rumble for the mid game. TSM also has the kind of insurance policy of Trist. Both these teams have pretty good late game elements. I would give the edge to Starhorn Royal Club. But this is a very nice pick ban phase.
Now here's a question, since we've seen only a few times, do we get the lane swap? Does Turtle try to get away from Uzi? Because we know InSec loves to hover that lane and loves to get Uzi going.
So just looking at the matchup, I mean, Nami is pretty good against Jian in the laning phase, and you have the Tristana pick as well, so you could go for this 2v2, but it is Uzi and Zero together, and Caitlyn, of course, is quite a lane bully.
All right, well, the champs are loading into the game, so head over to Twitter and lock in who you think will win this match. Send hashtag TSM win or SHR win to @LOL Esports.
And we have to mention this game has a huge impact on the group here.
Yeah,
TSM cannot win the group if they don't win this game against Starhorn. Obviously, there's still 2 games left in the group for both of these teams, but a loss here would make TSM 0-2 against Starhorn.
This becoming big because obviously we know TSM having trouble against Korean teams, and they would be forced in second to face off against Samsung White.
That group is also not fully decided.
Absolutely correct. Cannot lock anything in just yet. We are onto the rift, though. It's going to be Team Solo Mid now on the blue side versus Starhorn Royal Club on the red.
I'm just looking at Zero here from the start. He's once again running the 80 room page on his Jian with the 1% crit. And I expect just him and Uzi from the start in this laning phase just push instantly. You want to get down, you want to get a lot of damage on the tower here, deny a lot of farm, because remember Tristana on the tower tends to lose a lot of CS due to explosive shot. So if Royal Club can get the push early on here, it would require Amazing to come down, and therefore he should actually start on his own blue buff if he wants to take blue buff, red buff, and then gank bottom lane early on to try and stop this early push.
Jungle pathing will be very important for these guys. You can see the lanes have sort of scouted themselves out here at 1 minute, but that doesn't block a swap. They would still have time to recall and go back. I'm actually a little surprised here that Uzi and Zero are just sitting in the ward. They're basically telling TSM, we don't care if you see where we are, because our lane will win whether it's 1v2 or 2v2.
Exactly. If it's a 2v1, they're just going to fast push the tower anyway. Every single time Royal Club lane swap, they never freeze the lane. They always just push, 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 get a tower, move on. They don't want to sit and wait for 10-15 minutes and play passive. They want action, they want to get some early gold and then force you into some team fights here. And I'm really also looking forward to this mid lane. Bjergsen decided to go with, actually, defensive summoner on his Oriana, which I for some reason just forgot the name of, a barrier, of course, against Korn here. So he should actually be able to poke him in the early game.
Right.
But Korn will always have some kill pressure.
Kind of gets in your head. Sometimes you want to see that kill coming in, and then the barrier pops up in front of you. However, Korn can still stay safe if he tries to get in deep. And we are off and running for our second matchup between TSM and Starhorn Royal Club. Looks like we're going to have same side start, so the junglers are also going to end up on the bottom at the same time here.
Yeah, the fact that we have standard lanes makes this bottom lane really interesting right off the bat. Whether or not WildTurtle can withstand the long-range harassment from Zero and Uzi.
Yeah.
Already taking a bit of poke.
Not a great start in the bottom lane for TSM here. I mean, Royal Club, they get the early push, they get a lot of damage in the first trade. Amazing did start his blue buff, as we talked about just before, so he will be down at the bottom side of the map once he gets his double buff, and we could see him go for an early gank, especially because it is only the trinket wards from Royal Club, so if they place one of them in the lane bush, it should open up for Amazing.
Well, we got CS tracker here on WildTurtle. Currently he's at 0 for the CS. He's missed about half that first wave. We'll see how much he can pick up with the turret. He's not going to get that one. This is tough.
He could have shot so many of those minions as well.
The thing is, he was afraid of the harassment from Uzi. Uzi is zoning him so well with Caitlyn. He's already taken a fair bit of harass. Did not want to give any kill pressure to Royal Club. But yeah, you can see first wave, Uzi almost double.
This is going to be quite tough for them. Not something you want to give Uzi right away. He's already putting the traps down to make sure the aggression sticks and they cannot come back at them. InSec already towards the bottom side. We'll see if he continues to hover there. It looks like Amazing's already going to head towards that top side again.
Uzi is actually sacrificing certain CS just for better zoning. It's not all about just maximizing his CS. It's about crushing WildTurtle, which is what he's trying to do early.
Yeah, and we have seen this from him before. He will contest every single CS. Whenever WildTurtle wants to step forward and hit a minion, he's going to get shot in the head from Uzi.
This is brutal.
And Amazing we actually went up to the top side, so there's no help early on. There's a defensive ward as well from World Up to transport him if you went for the bottom lane.
Bjerg's are doing quite well here in the mid lane, not even leveling dissonance yet at his third level. 2 in ball, 1 in shield, and keeps it strong against the pressure of Korn, trying to go hard on Fizz right now. Both junglers back to the top side, so everything that's happened here in the bottom lane has just been the power, the dual lane of Uzi and Zero over and over again.
And there's this Caitlyn pick here with the Jian. I mean, you win the early level 1, you start fast pushing, and you just get early level 2, and there's nothing then Tristana can do on the tower. Just have to try and get as much farm as possible. In this mid lane here, Korn is actually doing a very good job farming. He does have the flask, but he used every single potion now.
Yeah, I think we can see this bottom lane dominating for quite a while for Starhorn. It's about the other lanes for TSM. They've lost bottom.
Right.
They have to win mid and top. At the moment, Bjergsen's not doing that spectacularly early game against Fizz. Fizz will have kill pressure theoretically around level 6.
He knows he can't go in right now. He's going to wait for that wave to push. Bjergsen will back, probably come out with a chalice. He'll be all right on mana after that. But that lane, back and forth. See what Korn comes back with if he decides to back after this. And a lot less pressure than I thought we'd see coming out of InSec here in the early game. Dyrus with the ward down to make sure he gets none of that as well.
So we have to remember now InSec didn't get his Rengar or his Lee Sin, where we normally see all the pressure. On Kha'Zix here, when he played against TPA, actually in game 1 of this group, he was just sitting and farming and playing pretty passive early on. It was more focused on getting strong for team fights. So it opens up for the solo lanes of TSM to play a bit more aggressive, and it also should open up for Amazing to try and set up some ganks. Mid lane wise, Korn got to back here, but it was actually very good timing by Bjergsen.
Woo!
Let's see what happens down here. Let's see what happens.
Turtle jumps in.
It all in.
Was not ready for Amazing to actually get and put down a ward there. Amazing should have just come in for the gank, but they're going to have to just back off on this.
I will say that WildTurtle and Lustboy are doing a decent job fighting back against Uzi here, keeping the CS at least somewhat close. But I also have to bring up how dominant TSM has been outside of their game against Starhorn. They've actually only allowed 2 Dragons, 1 Baron, and 12 turret kills to opponents in this entire group stage. Both Dragons, the Baron, and 8 of the 12 turrets were against Royal Club. So it's like that one really one-sided game they lost to Royal Club. Everything else, TSM's looked fantastic.
And it really just fits in with the fact that TSM, as long as they do well early game and get a lead, they can control the game and can just snowball it out of control. But once they do fall behind, which they did against Royal Club, suddenly they don't really have any answers.
Well, that's Royal Club's key point, right? Win lane, win game. It's going to be quite hard after that when you can't get out of the situation. Amazing waltzing right through a ward as he dances his way down the river. Doesn't look like he's going to get much out of this. And Starhorn Royal Club putting up nice wards in the early game here to thwart off any of these ganks.
So in the mid lane right now, we actually see the CS go in favor of Bjergsen because he managed to build up a very big wave once Korn had no health potions left and no charges on his flask, which meant he couldn't actually go in and take the farm because he would take too much damage. So he was forced to sit and wait at his tower. Then a massive wave came in. Bjergsen recalled, returned to lane by the time Korn had actually killed the wave, and then he had to base, so he fell behind in CS simply because Bjergsen was able to outlast all his sustain and get the CS lead now.
Dyrus warding much more than usual here in the early game. He knows he can be a big factor towards these objective fights, even if he's down on CS a little bit, which at this point he is. That equalizer can do just that. And he's going to try to be formidable for the team as it comes up.
I want to point out, again, the bottom lane, because it's going to be a big focus anytime it's a Starhorn game since it's Uzi in the bottom lane. The CS is close. That's mainly because Amazing has been down there twice. Even though the ganks have appeared to be ineffective, they have given a small window of opportunity so WildTurtle can at least keep his itemization respectable.
Yeah, but it also bought time for Kola up in the top lane to actually farm as much as he wanted. He didn't have to think about Amazing being there because they saw him bottom lane twice, so he's just been able to push in the wave and just harass Dyrus a little bit with his range advantage.
So far, great wards around the map. TSM making sure nothing comes across that river, not even an InSec. He's going to be in his jungle now, hitting 6. Going to pop out some spikes for himself, and we'll see if we can get some action.
And both teams been fairly happy just actually farming the lanes here. We haven't seen any aggressive invades onto the junglers. We have just seen Amazing show himself a few times, not really going for the real gank, and then of course InSec has just been sitting in the jungle and farming for pretty much the entire time. Dyrus up here, taking a bit of damage, but he has it under control.
Looks like Korn's going to be going back for his blue buff at this point. Right now, with Starhorn Royal Club having this much of a lead in the early game, I think this might be too much, even with the way they play against Team Solo Mid, the way InSec can get going in this game, already more pressure to WildTurtle. They're not even 6.
As soon as Amazing isn't there, you can see Uzi and Zero are immediately back at the turret, firing off harass against WildTurtle. Thank God for the sustain of Nami, otherwise he would have been immediately pushed out of that lane. Some aggression up top, though.
Kola getting hurt. Looks like he backs off. Dyrus was just about to overheat on that, and he had the flame spitter out, so it might have been perfect. InSec now making his way to the brush. You have to ward like you're playing against a Nocturne when you play against InSec. He will be right in your face, though. You path around everything. Waiting for the right moment. Somebody's going to walk in the brush, take a little bit extra damage.
So Uzi constantly just moves forward here. Oh, they're going for the WildTurtle.
The 1, 2, the 3, the Peacemaker before anything else. The ace in the hole's not up, so I don't know why he didn't go in for the shots on that.
I feel like the laning patterns changed of Uzi and Zero right there. Yes, Uzi was bouncing back and forth, but it definitely appeared he had immediately became a little passive, which I think tipped Turtle and Lustboy off.
We have to look for the dragon right here because down this bottom lane, WildTurtle and Lustboy will be forced to go back soon. Let's see some action mid lane first.
Chum the Waters goes out. Amazing flashes away from Bjergsen to try to save the HP on him. It's going to be first blood. InSec gets it once again against Team Solo Mid, and they're going to start wreaking havoc here.
And this should be the dragon as well. I mean, WildTurtle is down to 50% HP. He's just going to try and look to see if he can do anything, but it's 4 members from Royal Club here. And once again, just like in game 1 between Royal Club and TSM, InSec managed to find Amazing, kill him early game or pressure him early game, and give the whole advantage to his team.
Just a huge play there by Starhorn. It's a ridiculous amount of pressure that they're applying in the bottom lane with this Caitlyn pick, and I definitely feel like that is having impact on the rest of the game. Even just Bjergsen Amazing, knowing there's no way they're getting back up, but the instant that happened, actually, Starhorn was able to just go and get that dragon just for 1 catch, despite 2 people getting low after that gank.
And this dragon was just a matter of time because in the bottom lane, WildTurtle and Lustboy would be forced to go back at some point because they used so much mana and they took so much poke. And as long as Royal Club could just keep pushing it in, at some point WildTurtle would back or just lose his tower, fall even further behind, and then Royal Club could just walk straight up to Dragon and take it. Now they did it the easier way, gotta kill first on Amazing.
Will they try to make anything of this? Dyrus overheating actually right now, so they're gonna have to wait quite a bit.
There's no flash
to slow down. Cola throws the ultimate down, so he's gonna be at safety.
The thing is, there's no flash on Amazing either, and he'd already used his safeguard, so he could not kick him backwards. All thanks to that gank in the mid lane. Otherwise, it was a beautiful plan by Amazing.
So things going the way Royal Club would like for the beginning of the game. Again, getting an objective in their favor. Uzi gets bubbled here. Turtle cannot really aggress. He throws down the Buster shot, though, because no auto attacks can come out.
The bottom lane still hasn't shopped, by the way. They're sitting on Dorans. Their gold values are ridiculous right now. 3,100 gold sitting on Uzi. He might be trying to build a straight Infinity Edge. He would need 700 more gold.
Well, at least we saw some pressure here from TSM. Actually, that was a very good attempt. Onto Uzi, trying to force him back. He still has both summoners and will stay in lane. And now we actually see WildTurtle go for the first back. And Amazing. Back in his top lane here, they're going for Cola.
What a nice equalizer. He's forced to just cook on it. And they are going to be able to pick up a kill on Cola.
And this is all credit to Dyrus on this Rumble here. He forced the flash one-on-one against Cola, so Amazing could just walk up to the top lane and secure the kill here.
Looks like InSec could be making a move towards the bottom lane. Got everything he needs, the red buff as well to keep the fight going.
This is trouble.
Lustboy gets hit. Probably going to be going for him first. The ultimate is there for the disengage. Gets hit once, goes to the heal coming out of WildTurtle, and the exhaust as well. Starhorn getting a lot out of that one.
Yeah, you can definitely see a nice gank there by InSec. They burned 3 summoner spells. Not the greatest escape from that gank, but Korn comes down to do pretty much nothing, which is a big loss in pressure there.
It is, but this is their Royal Club style. Korn will always roam from the mid lane when there's action in the side lanes. Like, he moved instantly as InSec showed himself. He's losing a lot of farm in this mid lane here, but if he'd picked up a kill, it would have been worth it for him, and that's the Royal Club mentality.
I will say, even though Royal Club's been able to take that bottom lane pressure into Dragon, TSM is winning 2 of the 3 lanes right now. Dyrus in the top lane, and Bjergsen in that mid lane is definitely creating a bit of a farm advantage over top of Fizz.
Stepping up quite big, and that's what they need. We've seen this from TSM before. If the bottom lane kind of goes to the wayside, we have to focus on the other ones, and those guys can bring themselves to the late game. 10-9 here. Dyrus is going to start getting some deep wards in and hopefully stop InSec from making more plays. Definitely have a bit of a slower game than he did the first time around against Team Solo Mid.
Look at his roam down here. He does have ulti ready. Well, there's a ward to spot him.
Yeah.
Otherwise, Bjergsen
It's really hard to rumble get Fizz. He's just going to jump right all over all your stuff.
Still, just the fact TSM is doing so well in their solo lanes means that Royal Club has to slow down. Like, they can't just run around and keep forcing things. If Korn in this mid lane is falling behind, he will have his Lich being completed. Gonna be the most important damage item for him, especially in the early to mid game here. And probably looking to get an Hourglass as the second item. But he is against double AP of the solo laners, and it's not gonna help him against those.
WildTurtle now returning to lane. That BF sword as well as the Zeal. See what he turns that into. Not yet the Infinity Edge coming in for Uzi, but definitely going to put out way more damage as they slow push this one now, trying to deny WildTurtle. He's down about 24 CS.
And we have to highlight the fact that Royal Club in the late game can actually split up in a split push and do 1-3-1, where you have Cola on Rise in one lane and you have the Fizz in the other side lane, and there's nobody from TSM who can one-on-one a late game Fizz, which means for now Royal Club can play it safe, farm up, wait for Korn to be strong enough to kill everyone.
The thing is, though, if they try and do that split push, Starhorn's not a split pushing team.
They're not.
Right? I've seen plenty of games where they have the potential to do so, and they'll just use that strength for a team fight. So even though that is a potential, it's rather unlikely against this LPL team.
Yeah, and we have also seen times where they try to do the split push and then it completely backfires because there's not enough wards, or they make a mistake and end up actually giving up a Baron and end up losing the game here. Obviously TSM, with their insanely strong teamfight comp, if they manage to get the lead and can dictate the game and force Royal Club into some team fights, this Rumble and this Orianna can make some serious damage.
Yeah, it's all about the Dragon setup right now, though. Amazing does not want to get caught in this exact spot again. Ooh, that would have been a really nice shot to land. WildTurtle is taking a pounding. That turret's done.
Every time he has it up, that ace in the hole comes out when they know they can get a bigger advantage on the lane. Jungler's walking parallel.
Right with a teleport.
That's going to be the wave coming in. Dyrus on the backside. Will he be able to get some good damage in here? Flamespitter comes out. Nice ultimate.
Beautiful
bubble from Lustboy. They're going to be able to start locking down kills. The flash goes to the bone from Uzi, and he's down at the beginning of the fight. Dyrus gets himself out as he is overheating, and Amazing starts to turn things up as well.
Mid lane is
Zero could be hit. This is Korn now closing in. Bjergsen pulls the ball to himself. Will the shockwave come in? Just out of range. He's got one on the Korn. Chum the Waters comes back, but it's a bit of disengage on both of the ultimates. Lustboy trying to get in range for one more bubble, but he can't do it, and the fight is disengaged.
The double bubble is what ended up winning them the fight, but it's still rather close. Dragon is up. They're actually prioritizing turret pressure over going for Dragon because everyone's sticking around. Starhorn might still want to fight.
There's two members coming from base here from Royal Club. They just want to wave clear. TSM, if they go for Dragon here, everyone from Royal Club will be there in time.
This is a suicidal Dragon attempt, it feels like, for TSM. Amazing is not even near. The ultimates are mostly down here for TSM. They have to be careful, actually, not to forfeit this Dragon.
Dyrus pushing the mid wave already. He may be able to draw a little bit of pressure, kind of cool things down for Team Solo Mid. They don't have to force anything here, but looks like Royal Club is going to force them into this.
That was really good harassed by Bjergsen there onto zero, knowing the Jian ultimate is still down. Royal Club has to pull back.
Yeah, but TSM is split up at the moment. Amazing and WildTurtle down to this bottom side here, while the rest of TSM came from the mid lane. They do manage to force Royal Club back, and they can actually push mid here. This should be a free tower.
Royal Club took way too much poke there when they were trying to go for that Dragon. They mainly needed to be there to stop the Dragon, not to actually get near it. That was a big misplay. TSM takes a nice map advantage.
Not only did it take some poke, they actually went to the bottom lane pretty much every single member. They didn't even think about the mid lane. TSM pushing further.
Chum the Waters just about to be up. We know how much Royal Club loves to fight, and they're all converging back on that mid lane. Even Uzi is getting himself up towards this Dragon now. WildTurtle is going to try to clear a little bit in the bottom, so they'll know where he is, and they'll know that the fight is going to be split if they want to start it.
That Infinity Edge being completed onto Uzi
is
massive, especially considering that bottom turret is down. He knows WildTurtle doesn't have lifesteal, so just that small amount of poke will create a pretty big edge coming into this Dragon fight.
And there's over 1,000 gold. Four members of TSM, they're going anyway.
Amazing gets the steal. Rumble out goes out. Look how it's separating the fight right now. They take down InSec. Chum the Waters on Dyrus, the best person. He can throw the shield along with Bjergsen on. He will go down though. Zero with a beautiful monsoon to keep the fight going, and TSM is trying to recuperate here, but it's just too much damage coming in from Royal Club. Now Turtle joins the fight. Does he have enough for the sustain? Uzi's still putting up shots. He's fighting within the brush to get more headshots. He's trying to do what he can. WildTurtle's gonna come out on top, throws down the explosive shot, and comes up with a triple kill.
Lustboy is so good in these team fights. Turtle is the beneficiary of so much greatness from the rest of TSM in those fights. What a ridiculously close fight. Cannot wait to see the replay.
Let's just have a look here.
It's starting to drag.
Going in for the steal. He actually gets it, and then rest of TSM still want to fight. Notice WildTurtle on your minimap. He's not there. It's 4 members from TSM fighting.
InSec was completely out of sync of the rest of Royal Club, though. If he would have gone in with Korn, it would have been much better. It was a nice monsoon from Zero, but again, completely out of sync.
Remember the way Royal Club communicates. They ping and they type go or say go, and then you just have to follow. If you're not ready, InSec will still jump in alone, and he will end up dying, and the rest of the team is just going to be like, whoa, we didn't actually expect this.
How fast is TSM going to continue to push this, though? Do they keep the pedal to the metal? Do they get the wards down, play it safe, and try to just keep Royal Club at bay?
Imagine this. After that nightmarish laning phase. Oh, shockwave onto Cola.
Cola, then the bubble comes in. Lustboy hitting everything he needs to right now. And Amazing picks up a kill for himself. Dyrus is coming out with an Abyssal Scepter after all this.
You can see the map control from the mid lane and top lane being one actually having an impact now. And even the bottom lane, because of that triple kill from Turtle, puts him even in gold with Uzi.
Strong play coming from Team Solo Mid, but you cannot count out Royal Club at all, knowing how to perform in the late game. Like I said, this last matchup was 25-5 in kills in favor of Royal Club in just 30 minutes. So we'll see if they can put those numbers up again. Right now they're trying to recuperate, grab up what they can before they get back into the fight.
And that last team fight, 4 members from TSM had more than 1,000 gold. They hadn't gone back to base to shop. They didn't have a time to do it. They went for the fight anyway and managed to win it. Only 4 members at first because InSec just jumped in all alone. There was nobody who could follow him. Ends up dying, turns it into a 4v4, and suddenly WildTurtle joins, TSM can clean up the fight. Lustboy looking amazing, of course. Looking amazing? He is actually looking amazing.
Yeah, it's looking like Lustboy to me, but he's still playing great. The big thing about this game is we always talk about how TSM knows how to play with the lead. That's what they've been able to do throughout this group stage. They were losing the early game, so it's not the early game lead. They have managed to accumulate it in the mid game. The question is now, how do they finish against a team that is better than the other teams in the group?
It's going to be tough. We see that Royal Club already putting more items in their inventory that says we want to keep going. Zero, loving those captains, already gets them out on the mobility boots so the team can keep going. How are they going to utilize it though?
Well, I really like what Royal Club is doing right now on the map. Basically just defensive wards in your jungle so you can sit back and buy time to farm, because if you get caught out of position again now, it will mean towers for TSM. They're already pushing this bottom lane. Dyrus with teleport in the top lane. And now Royal Club needs to react very, very fast. Come down here, clear the way before TSM gets a lot of damage on the tower.
Whoa, oh boy. More often than not, Dyrus has been getting himself into some 1v1 situations, but he's coming out on the top side.
We know what happens when Dyrus starts solo killing people in the top lane. TSM generally wins the game. His build is so ideal for taking down Cola right now. Cola doesn't have time to build magic resist.
Yeah, exactly.
That Glacial Shroud is a really poor buy at this stage of the game.
Yeah, it's not going to help him at all against Dyrus here, and as soon as you get the 1 kill, suddenly it's going to be a tower as well, at least some damage onto it. All the pressure in the top lane, rest of TSM pushing this mid lane. Uzi still sitting in the bottom lane. I have to say, TPA against Royal Club. Once Royal Club fell behind, they were very slow at moving between the lanes and actually trying to defend them, and they're doing the same here. Uzi was still sitting in the bottom lane. TSM got a lot of damage on the mid tower.
And the big question was, could the bottom lane stand true with Uzi and Zero? 3-0-1, 2-0-5. Turtle and Lustboy make it out.
Uzi's bottom lane and Royal Club's bottom lane did great.
They did.
It was so much pressure created to the team, but the Dragon Fight and the rest of TSM coming together as a team, and the team fight ability from that bottom lane of TSM was great.
Disengage there, but that means that TSM can keep pushing forward. There's a minute on the Dragon here. And it looks like they're just going to keep getting what pressure they can before they have to back off.
And again, this is such a bad situation for Cola because you want to have the Frozen Heart against the Tristana, but at the same time you need magic resist to even stand toe-to-toe with Dyrus. Bjergsen in a team fight as well. I mean, he needs to get both armor and magic resist, and he needs to get it instantly. But where is he going to get the gold from?
I hate the Glacial Shroud so much in this context.
Yep.
It's because they're against a double AP team, and because of the Caitlyn pick, they are intentionally kneecapping the bottom lane of the other team. He doesn't need the armor until super late game, even though TSM's pedaled the metal here.
He's basically building for the team fight, but he stayed in a 1-on-1 anyway, so there was no synergy between the item and the way he was actually placing himself.
Really wants to fight, burning ult charges left and right.
Dyrus can get himself in the front here. Got that magic resistance coming from the Abyssal Scepter, taking a little bit from Cola, and they also draw out the Ignite there from Zero, so they're losing, and the Monsoon has already gone down. Little things going in favor of Team Solo Mid, but see what Royal Club can grab here. Looks like they're on the move.
This Ignite here for Zero is not really going to help him in the fight. Not having an exhaust against Tristana will be very painful for Royal in the late game. They're basically going to bank on the fact they can assassinate WildTurtle with Korn and maybe someone like Cola flashing in. getting some damage on this tower. Rest of TSM is coming. They should be able to defend it.
I mean, with Dragon up right now, I really wonder how these rotations are going to go. Royal Club is trying to burst it down. TSM's got to get there fast.
Royal Club has 2 people in base. They have no damage right here. TSM just needs to rush right in.
They're trying to sneak it. Dyrus is maybe going to try to 1v2 them off this Dragon. He can. He's pretty strong.
What a decision from Royal Club. One to the middle or everybody to Dragon. They could have gotten mid or just the Dragon, but they're going to lose or not get middle and lose the Dragon.
Royal Club right now have absolutely no idea what to do.
They're falling apart.
Once they are behind, again, it's the same deal against TPA. They had to wait 20 minutes where TPA was dancing around the Baron before they got to late game. It wasn't Royal Club playing well. It was just TPA not doing anything with the lead.
Deficio, average game time in this group stage, 30 minutes for TSM. Royal Club is up at 38 minutes. TSM has definitely been the more decisive team so far here at Worlds, and it's showing now that they have an edge.
Well, we'll see how far they can keep that going. Definitely on item spikes right now for themselves. Lasagna's being finished up by Bjergsen. They can continue to make plays. Pings towards the bottom lane here. They feel they can out-pressure it. Dyrus is about to get a lot of love top, so they'll probably be able to drop this turret. Corn, actually Dyrus dodges the jump a little bit there, but he takes way too much damage coming in.
But look at the bot lane.
And Corn, but yes, TSM is already on the move.
This is TSM trying to get a top lane turret, but that Baron is a huge red flag. They're going for it right now. TSM has to pull off. That Monsoon is fantastic right now. This could be Baron for Royal Club.
I don't think Dyrus knew how many people were about to be around him for the party. They throw out the tidal wave. Amazing, just on the outside. Oh, he does not get it. InSec pulls it in. Royal Club gives themselves a great boon here as Baron goes on to them. They're going to try to use this buff. Huge. Shockwave's already down for Bjergsen, so Royal Club can kind of walk around this one and find the fight that they want.
So while the last 5 minutes, Royal Club were just kind of running around the map, didn't really know what to do. They managed actually to find a pick in the top lane. We have seen this before. Once Royal Club falls behind, they go for these like old school Fnatic death traps where they hope someone is just walking in alone, get a kill. And because the rest of TSM were already focused on the bottom lane and just wanted to start pushing it up, they could go straight for Baron as soon as they got the kill onto Dyrus here.
And it's sneaky amounts of objective control from Royal Club here. They actually did the same thing with Baron there that they attempted to do on Dragon a few minutes earlier. They just went for it and thought TSM won't expect a team that's behind to be able to do something like this. As soon as they got the kill in the top lane, they immediately had it on the radar to go for Baron. Actually, in the group stage, no one has taken a Baron against Royal Club. That's their 8th Baron for themselves, though.
So we just have to give them credit, to be honest. We said before, they had no idea what they were doing. Clearly, they had a plan. They were just waiting for this one pick. They got it, got the Baron as well.
They also really adapted well to TSM's move there. They saw TSM was feeling headstrong, sending everybody bottom. So quite a bit of a mistake there. 25 minutes in to allow just the Baron to go off with your top laner, kind of be the only one guarding it.
And I just love the different way to play the being behind here, and we have to get back in the game style from Royal Club. This is not what we normally see in the LCS, where people try and go so far up in the lane and look for this one pick and just rush a Baron instantly after. I mean, we have seen games where people just sit back and try and farm and get to a late game point before this happens.
Even though it's not directly related, I feel that's one of the reasons we don't see much split pushing in the LPL, is because as soon as they get one pick, they're more willing and more practiced in just mobbing an objective and going for it. They were willing to have a smite fight there. That was actually kind of a 50-50 Baron.
And they had all 5 members running to the top lane even before they got to pick onto Dyrus. Everyone was on the top side. So if they had failed to actually kill him and he had managed to back away,
they lose 2 turrets.
They would lose 2 turrets, maybe even inhibitors. So they went all in for it. It paid off. TSM weren't ready for it. Onto this mid tower.
Great play and payoff coming in from Royal Club. And now we're going to see this Janet Caitlyn shielded up, going at turrets with the rest of the team. They're going to start falling. TSM's going to have to start warding up their side of the jungle. Everything that they had in Royal Club's jungle is now only Royal Club's wards, because they're on the defensive side now. You see Royal Club saying, maybe we'll pick somebody off here. Never mind. We'll back and then come back to use Baron. See how TSM can keep themselves in this game. What an awesome matchup here to have for the first game of the day.
This matchup, if it goes TSM's way, would set us on a collision course to actually have a 7th game of the day between the same teams. Obviously, if TSM wins here, and then Royal Club and TSM win their next games today, which they should be able to do because they've beaten those teams previously, they'd be tied at the top of the group at 5-1 apiece to force a tiebreaker.
And look at what Royal Club is actually doing on the map. They don't want to just group 5 members and just start pushing down. There's quite a lot of waves on the side of TSM, so instead they keep splitting up and run around, look for these one a 2v2, 3v3, maybe gank Dyrus once again. They're sitting, just waiting here. Only 3 members. I mean, Uzi's back in base, so if there's a big fight, he won't be there.
Very interesting to see how they use Baron. Well, waiting.
Again, there's so much wave clear on the side of TSM.
Yeah.
Just grouping 5 members would be extremely hard. And at the same time, they're just looking for whatever goal they can get to also even it out.
Plus, Baron when you're behind is much different than Baron when you're ahead. This is basically just a gap closer Baron. When they got the Baron, it was a 3,000 or 4,000 gold advantage, and they're closing that because they're using the Baron buff to just being able to pick up that auxiliary farm around the map and close the gap.
Uzi keeping his farm up. Both AD carries replicating on items right now. The last Whisper to come out very early because the armor did as well. Looks like Zero could find himself in some trouble here. Nice flash over the wall. It looks like he disengages the entire fight of what would be a mob of TSM members closing down. 30 seconds coming in on Dragon. Looks like they're prepping.
Both teams trying to set up all the wards they want, but TSM looking towards this mid lane. Down this bottom lane, Korn is just starting to recall now. TSM can push in maybe for the tower.
Ooh, WildTurtle, very big. Zero.
They sectioned them off.
Caught out here.
At this point, if Royal Club wants to come in, they're walking through an equalizer. It was a really nice rotation by TSM. Royal Club, though, wants to fight.
Cola gets hit up. Will Dyrus throw it down? They want to pinch him in a little bit more. Choke him right into the jungle. They are still holding the ultimates. Lock of the Iron Solari has been used, so they're almost running out of options here. Good placement by the ball to try and deter and zone out the fight. Korn, oh, he misses Chum the Waters right in the face of Team Solo Mid, but Royal Club is going to try to engage. The double kill coming in from Dyrus on Rumble. It's 2 more coming in. This could be an ace, but no, it's going to be InSec too far from the fight, and TSM's looking for Royal Club's base.
And you do not want to fight in the jungle against Orianna and Rumble at the same time here. TSM, they baited in Royal Club and just destroyed them.
Ooh. What a fight there by TSM. I mean, Royal Club has that reckless level of aggression on certain times, and that fight was just a disaster as far as those things are concerned. Every advantage they gained with the Baron sneak was evaporated in that last fight.
And the whole thing actually started with Korn being down his bottom lane. Once again, just doing the split push.
See this again.
The start of it was actually pretty good for Royal Club because the Rise got enough AoE damage down on the TSM that they had them on the run. But then it's really just kind of a bad initiation right here. The fact that Korn missed his fish and Zero
going for Lustboy.
And Zero's ultimate did not heal his team. That's the biggest thing about the Janna ultimate in the jungle like this. Dyrus had a flank position. Fight.
Tried really to be the big playmaker on Janna here. Uzi was on the other side of the red buff, so there was no peel for him at all. And as soon as he got too close, the shockwave pulled him in. He was just gonna die because Zero was on the other side, had already used Monsoon here. So an all-in team fight in the jungle from Royal Club against the Rumble pick and against the Orianna pick here, really paying off for TSM.
We're finally seeing Royal Club say, magic resistance, por favor. Negatron close coming out for a few members there. InSec and Cola to try and stop this Dyrus damage. Huge on Rumble. People were wondering what would be a fallback for Dyrus. We haven't seen him on too many things lately. Brings out the Rumble here at Worlds, and he has played it fantastically. 20 seconds on to Baron. Royal Club can really get under the skin of TSM with that. We'll see how they play this next one.
We might see them try and do the same they did before. Set up a trap once again, try and get a kill, rush the Baron once again. Because TSM in these 5 versus 5 have been oh so strong, and it's been pretty much impossible for Royal Club to actually fight them. Even Korn at the moment is falling pretty far behind in items.
I mean, a lot of it does have to do with just execution of these team fights. Korn hasn't found his way in very well.
Right.
They can't seem to get through the counter engage of Lustboy's Nami. And honestly, Zero has been playing far too aggressively on John.
Yeah.
He needs to wait for the fight to start and then go for it, but he's trying to be the initiator. That's just not the way it works.
So now we praised the Janna pick a lot in Champ Select. We were talking about how important it was. The comp TSM has made actually doesn't care about Janna, but Amazing should...
He got crit a couple times on top of the Rise Rune Prison, and that is just a huge delayer for this TSM push. They have to back now, and with Baron up, that could be even bigger trouble.
Still 4 members from TSM. This time they are actually at the Baron here to defend it in case Royal wants to rush it. Now they're setting up for a little trap here. Let's see if Royal wants to face check.
Pretty ballsy move. They have full vision with all those minions in the mid lane. They're taking what they can. They don't know exactly what vision they're sitting on either, but they feel comfortable with it. Obviously this pink ward here, Turtle didn't know if he was seen at Wraiths or not, and they know that the scrying orb kind of brings them out here. This could be pretty bad. They're able to dissonance away.
So as I was trying to say before, the comp TSM has built right here is not necessarily a combo you want to all in onto something like Caitlyn, and then the Jian pick is going to be great to just disengage the entire fight. It's actually a combo you want Royal Club to engage onto you, and then you have the Rumble ult, you have the Shockwave as well, and that's where the Jian Monsoon won't really have much of an impact because it's not enough to protect once the Rumble ult is in your face.
TSM's ran comps like this a couple of times during group stage. Actually, Zero has uses Frost Queen to try and disengage, and it's not enough.
You were saying, Jat, Zero getting a little too far ahead. Does it once again, cannot ward with the power and numbers system, and they're forced to leave him behind as TSM now sets up what should be their Baron, but I think they're just going to fight this out.
It's just impossible to use the Monsoon when you have the Rumble ult in your face, when you have the ball as well.
This is fantastic. Amazing can jump out and create a 5v5 if Royal Club tries to jump in for a steal, but they can just take it over the wall with these two. They have enough shields.
Look at Korn though, he's coming around here.
They're going to avoid him and just jump him. Nice move.
Korn trying to do what he can. A great exhaust coming out, but it's not going to be enough. Lustboy gets shut down there. The Zanyas is out, and now they can somewhat refocus the fight. WildTurtle gets a nice buster shot and blows them back. InSec almost didn't take him down there. He is very low. Bjergsen now the focus of Cola. They have great positioning here.
Oh, no.
Korn back into the fight, but a nice Zanya's coming in from Bjergsen, and they can't follow up the fight over the wall.
That fight was so weird in a lot of different ways. I have to commend Royal Club for winning amongst the chaos because TSM had a ton of latent advantages coming into that fight. Royal Club just outplayed them.
Royal Club now getting everything they want out of this mid lane here. Once they got those few kills, usually they go for more, but smartly so, go for the mid turret. InSec, whoa, he's going very low, but every time getting out with just a little bit of HP, causing a bit more chaos for the rest of the team to move around safely. Uzi seeing if he can pick up a red out of this, and it will not happen.
Look at TSM though. Actually, they can't really do it. So Royal Club also, because they're pushing down the mid lane and they could see the rest of TSM from the side, didn't have to worry about a potential counter Baron here. Because if TSM had been able to recall, give up the tower, you could maybe try to rush it. But let's just see the fight once again.
I mean, Korn played great here. He finally landed the Shark onto a good target, and while he was exhausted, Uzi was there in the back. The big problem that happened here is Orianna and Lee Sin were way off on the side of this fight, and they didn't collapse the way they should have.
Bjergsen was basically just running around alone. He didn't get to do any damage onto anyone except for InSec. And then now back to just a 3v3 between them. Still has the Outlast. WildTurtle is pretty healthy. Managed to get a kill, but Royal Club is still able to just push down the mid lane.
Royal Club so good at playing from behind. Versus TPA at 35 minutes in, it was 53,000 to 46. They ended the game 95 to 85,000. They know how to take it to the late game, and they know how to keep things going. That's not one of the ways to do it, though, but let's see if this can continue in the favor of Royal Club. We've already lost Cola on that side and Lustboy for Team Solo Mid. Everybody's trying to recoup after we see these Zanyas go up. Turtle jumps into the front of the fight, and a 3 to 4-man Howling Gale is going to disengage for that, but limping away is Royal Club.
Pretty impressive disengage, but they are very, very low. They have to get back to base and heal. This may just be their inhibitor going down.
It will be. I mean, they trade top lane for support here, so TSM still feeling very, very strong. Get inhibitor. Get back right now. Possibly focus on the Baron if they want to, but they need to get some very good wards up because Royal Club will still want to fight.
Backing away is so scary. The person they killed does have a teleport up, and TSM is on the wrong side of the map. They've already lost one Baron to being on the wrong side of the map.
Look at what Royal Club is doing. They're running straight
for
the Baron. Straight for the Baron.
TSM is very low as it comes to this. If they fight this, they may even lose. They might actually have to give this one up. This is a ridiculously dangerous situation. Baron's done.
They have 0 wards on that side of the map and the chance to place some on the way out, but they chose just to go down for Dragon, and they're going to watch another Baron go to the hands of Royal Club. Cola coming out on the home guard. The ward, not enough vision to get Turtle before his jump.
That was honestly just a bit of greedy play from TSM running for the Dragon here, thinking they could take it, and there was no reaction from Royal Club. But you always have to keep in mind, with the teleport from Cola, if they ran straight down the mid lane and there'd been a ward, maybe Royal Club would be able to chase them and engage for potential fight.
The instant TSM took the inhibitor, Baron was a threat. The counter Baron was always a threat. The fact that TSM ran towards Dragon
should have gone straight back mid lane.
So perplexing. I mean, they either go straight back to Baron to set up a trap coming in, or they try and find the quickest rush to recall, because otherwise, that's exactly what's going to happen.
Said it before, it's not exactly strategical shot calling that is the strength of Team Solo Mid. They can get themselves in very adaptive situations, or the fight goes in their favor, as we know, but the strategies usually fall to the wayside. 6,000 gold still in the favor of Team Solo Mid, with these Barons being grabbed up because they continue to grab Dragons, continue to keep WildTurtle farming. 320 to 353 though.
And I'm just looking across even more CS, 362 to 244 in the mid lane. Bjergsen has been a full item ahead of Corn, but with this game prolonging and stretching, Corn is going to become a bigger and bigger threat, and those two Barons could very well break the back of TSM.
Again, yeah, it's not take the Baron and just rush straight down the enemy base, kill them and finish the game. It's get a Baron, buy more time to just sit and farm, because again, they are still pretty far behind in items, even though they picked up 2 Barons so far. But both of them, at least the last one here, was just TSM running straight for Dragon, expecting no reaction at all from Royal Club. And obviously, as soon as they saw TSM move, 4 members run to Baron, you have to teleport as well, pick it up, you say thank you very much TSM. Now Royal Club don't have to risk face checking TSM in a terrible situation where they would probably have lost the fight.
So another behind Baron gives Royal Club some breathing room for now. Looking around at teleports, what's up and what's not for them. Looks like they are just going to keep it safe for the moment. Going against TSM with all of their ults up would definitely be a little crazy. 17 to 12, we're 40 minutes into this one with 2 Barons down, as I said. Royal Club doing what they can to stop TSM from getting in their base. They already have 1 inhib down in the middle, and somehow they're still grabbing these Barons.
They've already sent Corn down to this bottom lane to just start setting up this split push. Now the rest of the team will actually join him in. Top lane should be pushing. I'm just going to check the minions here. If it's going to slow push in favor of TSM, it will actually slow push in favor of TSM.
Our instinct is that Corn was down there at a split push, but actually he was just the first one of the party because they're doing everything as a team. That's the big thing for Royal Club right here. They've been caught out one too many times this game, it seems like.
Still InSec sitting in this mid lane. They want to push it out. Top lane's going to push in favor of TSM, so they won't have that in their advantage, at least if you are from Royal Club. So it's going to be all about this mid lane and this bottom lane pushing in. Let's see if they can actually siege on the tower. There's still a lot of wave there for TSM, and you have to respect this Grumble ulti.
Well, I mean, the big thing is InSec was in the mid lane because there's still a downed inhibitor. The super minions would have pushed straight up that mid lane, and they're just having a little bit of trouble time making a play actually happen. That's what happens when you're an inhibitor down with the Baron buff. You basically just pause the game for a little while because it's very difficult to orchestrate a play.
Question is though, why, if they don't really want to go straight for this tower here, which it looks like they're doing right now, why wouldn't you just sit up in every single lane and push it? Because look at this minion wave. It's going to die so fast, which means if Royal Club actually wants to take it down, they have to pressure TSM off the tower. But TSM is just waiting for Royal Club to step a bit too close, shockwave from Bjergsen or bubble from Lustboy, and suddenly you have a fight.
I feel like Royal Club wants the fight more than anything else. Their inhibitors now respawn. Yes, there's a wave pushing against them. They're just hoping that something organically happens by being here. Because if we learned one thing about Royal Club,
they want to fight. But TSM is smart enough to just sit back at the tower, wait for the Baron buff to expire. Now the minion wave in the top lane we talked about earlier is going to push in, so they have to go back. They took the Baron buff, they got some farm, and I guess maybe they just wanted to avoid TSM running around the map here and maybe fool them if they actually split up once again and just wanted to stay together as a group, force TSM to stay 5 members at their tower and just get some farm. But could have been in every single lane and just try and push them up here. Let's see what Royal Club wants to do now. They're still 5,000 gold behind.
Doing as much as they can to make TSM walk to the beat of their drum. But it's only TSM kind of listening to the music and saying, what else do you have? We're right here. Are you going to try the fight? Picking up back on their side. The red buff over to Uzi, the blue buff over to Corn, and we're going to get a bit of pushing on those lanes finally. That we want oh so much to Fishio.
Uzi is doing his classic wait until the very last item to build lifesteal build.
Right.
It's something he does almost every time. It's very all-in focused because he's all about being able to win trades, and therefore he moves around the map. But when he does actually finish his lifesteal item, he's going to have a very potent Caitlyn build.
As long as he gets a Bloodthirster, not a Scimitar with his BF sword.
He's already got a Banshee build. He's probably not going double.
Feels safe enough, or should at least feel safe enough, and their QSS wouldn't actually do him a lot. Maybe a bubble from Lustboy would have been about it. So no reason for him to get a QSS. And onto this mid lane here, TSM blasted out the Baron buff. Want to fight again.
Poke. It's all about trying to poke each other more. Kola loves to just run in and get a rune prison. Dyrus would be the target if you're trying to catch someone. His Zhonya's has not been completed yet.
Every single member has every single summoner. Ultis are ready here, and Royal Club, they know they are still behind, so don't want to fight. Maybe look to chase a bit if they can land some poke from InSec and then find someone who's falling behind. Seems for now, TSM to stay together.
Slowly walking this one out, making sure they have vision on Team Solo Mid the whole time. Cola popping the blue elixir there. They want to get as much out of this fight as possible. Now they're kind of reset, and they saw TSM said, we're not going too far back. We got the minion wave now. We're going to force you to farm out this and control the mid waves. Good job by TSM. They get what they want on the middle inhibitor. They take it slow. Baron coming up in 40, Dragon in 20. And Royal Club is going to very much so set the dominoes in place for this one. Hopefully knocking them down for a third Baron in the game. TSM again with 0 vision coverage on the top of the map.
They need to get some vision coverage. That should be priority A1, but they're managing the bottom.
Are they going to push mid lane here? Do they just want to rush straight for mid lane? They have the minion wave as well.
Yeah,
they're going to force World Club to go back.
They still lose the turret for it, though.
Yeah, they're not actually going to take anything. The rest of the team should be able to recall.
At the very least, this puts them in position to create some warding.
They have to go Baron now. They have to go to Baron, place some wards here, start setting up a trap because they have just forced everyone from Royal Club to recall. And there was not a lot of wards placed by Royal Club, so it's going to be very easy for TSM to clear it and set up a trap.
1, 2, 3. See if they can get their own vision down though, trying to get a bit of an upper hand on InSec. TSM actually looking for this fight pretty hard. Dyrus is going to overheat, so that'll stall it out for a bit. What could have been quite a back and forth is disengaged right away. There's still 45 minutes on this one, and Royal Club has closed that gold lead that TSM has now to just 3,000.
So I just realized Royal Club is against a double AP team, and they have no Locket on their team.
They may realize
for some reason.
And that is a valid point. It's a little bit strange here, but Royal Club knows this is coming. This could be the explosive fight we've been waiting for, as long as Fizz can get a flank. Watch the corn.
What a nice equalizer down the choke of that little Wraith path. It's InSec getting hit up very hard. Can Amazing finalize the kill? It's going to be the shot coming in from WildTurtle. Corn to the backside. Bjergsen, he gets the Trickster damage. Zanya'd out the double kill for Turtle. Bjergsen goes down, but he takes down Corn first. A double as well for Uzi. He's trying to keep himself alive, but again, he finds himself as the last man standing for Royal Club. One more shot. Uzi's going to try to waltz out of this one.
As long as Amazing distracts him, WildTurtle could go win the game. They have super minions, and Amazing just needs to stop the recall.
He's trying to make that call. You can see Turtle saying, I'm going for this. Keep eyes on him. Could get a ward over the wall. No, he's only got the sweeper, the sight stone. He could have used it to get there, but it might be a Nexus turret still.
Will be a turret for sure. Maybe even 2 here. WildTurtle has a lot of damage.
He could end the game. He could absolutely end the game.
Uzi's coming.
He'd have to fight him.
He gets hit by the minions and he's done.
He's going to win the game.
He's going to
win the game.
WildTurtle's going to do it by himself. It's not going to matter if the ace in the hole. It's a few more shots.
This is
he's
still
trying
close.
to focus in the turret.
He got it.
No,
There
he gets the Nexus, and Team Solo Mid is going to take down Star Horde Royal Club.
What a game we just had right here. The very, very last team fight. Once again, TSM have been looking so good in these fights, but Royal Club, they are so damn good at fighting as well. And in the end, WildTurtle, the guy we've been talking about, underperforming from TSM, winning the game.
Listen, WildTurtle may underperform in lane, but when it comes to the larger game, he knows how to play. Especially on Twist. He is so good in team fights on those. But honestly, 46 minutes is about 16 minutes longer than this game needed to be. TSM has a lot to clean up if they want a reliable victory against Starhorn. Remember, this puts both these teams at 1 loss in the group stage, so they are on a collision course for a tiebreaker at the end of the day.
Yep, both sitting at 4-1 right now. Beautiful work by Team Solo Mid. Starhorn Royal Club playing an awesome game as well of catch-up the whole time, able to put Barons in their pocket whenever they wanted, something teams are really going to have to take control of if they want to stop Royal Club. And they're going to have to shut down something in the mid or top if you're facing TSM.
Yeah, those 2 Barons for Royal Club was basically TSM being maybe a little bit over-aggressive, especially the second one where they run for the Dragon. That was just very greedy play. Didn't even think about the fact there was a Baron to be taken by Royal Club. So that was too easy for them to pick up. The first one, credit to them, it was a nice little setup. We've seen it before from Royal Club. Once they're behind, they like to make these small traps. TSM will know for the next game, because now they've seen it, they won't make the same mistake twice.
Very nice pick and ban phase as well. TSM getting what they wanted out of that. We even saw it the first time around that they were a bit confused. It seemed like they came through this one, but they got what they wanted. Very nicely played as well. Lustboy again coming up huge throughout the entire game for Team Solo Mid.
So Nami is a very good pick against Janna. Oftentimes because you can just bubble when you think she's going to Monsoon, and that's actually one of the big things that created an opening for WildTurtle to get back in the game.
the entire comp from TSM, as soon as they saw the Janna pick, they're like, okay, are we going to run any hard engage onto this Janna pick, which can just monsoon us away and just ruin everything? No. We're going to take a comp here where we want Royal Club to engage onto us, and then we have the Shockwave, we have the Rumble ult, we have the Nami wave to simply destroy you when you try to run towards us. And the Janna pick can't do anything then, because then your monsoon won't do anything, because you don't want to disengage, you actually want to engage.
Right. TSM constructed a very similar comp when they beat TPA the first time. They have a lot of really long-range picks in their arsenal, and it definitely seems like TSM's preferred way to play is no one having to go all in. They actually haven't picked pretty much any all-in champions that they've found success on.
Very true, and I'm also just looking at Dyrus, of course, on the Rumble pick. 2 games, been looking great. And then Kola on Rise is not a champion he's played in the LPL at all. Now, twice in 2 days, against Freddy as well, he lost the lane. And now he lost it as well to Dyrus. He forced the flash, Amazing went up the top and killed him as well, and he fell really, really far behind. I'm not sure Rise is going to be such a top-tier pick for them.
There is a stark difference between his Rise and Aurelia. He looks antsy on Rise, like he wants to fight, and Starhorn, they should just put him on something he can just destroy the game with, because he's not a split pusher. Just doesn't do it. To walk us through the match, let's hand it over to Quickshot and the gang at the analyst desk.
Thank you very much, Rev. I want to kick this one off by, first of all, giving every single one of you guys out there that voted for TSM a high five and saying, Crepo got it wrong, Crumbs got it wrong, Monte Cristo got it wrong, Freak got it wrong. So welcome to the Brain Trust, where 100% of you did not get this correct. Team Solo Mid, let's talk picks and bans. They got the Tristana. The Janna pick was contested. It was interesting. Talk to me about team comps and early laning phase. Let's kick this off with Crepo.
Yeah, it's just a pain to lane that early. Basically, WildTurtle and Lustboy tried to challenge the race to level 2, but they got absolutely wrecked early. And he immediately got a CS deficit in the numbers of like 6. They got doubled by Uzi, but then Amazing came in and he alleviated pressure. Even if that gank didn't work out, he timed the ward correctly, came in the dark. Sonic Wave missed, but still that alleviated enough pressure, and at the same time TSM solo lanes were doing well enough in the game to make sure that TSM could stay ahead.
I think Amazing was the real hero for this game, to be honest. Just the early game, he was there bottom lane to make sure that Tristan did not get smashed. They were losing lane hard, and it was only going to get worse. Showed up twice. Once, the first gank that Crepo mentioned. The second one shows up in the river ward, forces bot lane to back out. After he puts enough pressure bot lane for Tristana to catch back up, goes top lane, snowballs Dyrus, and Dyrus' Rumble is a key factor in this team comp in order to make sure that it becomes very difficult for Starhorn to engage on them because of the equalizer, because of the Rylai's, and it got to a point where Fizz just couldn't do anything because of that.
Yeah, it was actually interesting. I felt like a better mid laner would have won the game for Starhorn Royal Club. I think back to a sort of mid to late fight where he basically solos out Dyrus, kills him, gets Baron off of it, and it's like that should be happening the entire game. That Fizz should be dictating what happens while Rise, Janna, Caitlyn, Kha'Zix are actually all good turret defenders. Like, why not split the team up? And the problem is Starhorn are not a good split pushing team, so they never get that to actually happen.
We will come back to this discussion in a moment, and I do agree, Korn missed a lot of those ultimates. We're actually going to throw it over to Shox, who is joined by a member of Team Solo Mid.
Thank you very much, and I would like to welcome WildTurtle here of Team Solo Mid after that impressive victory. Turtle, I want to take you back to the beginning because it was so important for you guys to get the upper hand and pick some bans. You guys decided to first pick the Lee Sin, and then how did you adjust your strategy from there?
We basically picked Lee Sin to take it away from InSec because he's a really good Lee Sin player. And then I think picks and bans, we kind of planned very well for it, and we knew what they were going to pick. The only pick we didn't know was the Caitlyn one, which kind of caught us.
Yeah, talk me through the laning phase then, because you end up versus a Caitlyn and a Janna, and we know how much they like to push.
Oh yeah, that lane is like really hard to play versus with Trisnami, at least early on, because if you do try to push with Triss and Nami, they can, Caitlyn will always get the level 1 push, always, because she has the Q, and it's very strong.
Yeah, you guys did manage to come out of laning phase, build up a lead through some fights, and then talk me through that first Baron that Royal Club takes when you guys are totally out of position.
The Barons we gave them were like pretty big. Like we didn't they just kind of caught us off guard. Like both times they took it. It was just they had a really strong comp for it. They had Kha'Zix, Rise, Caitlyn, and they just took it so quickly we couldn't react.
Well, then tell me how your mind chat changes from there, because you give them a finger, they take an arm, and they take that Baron, then you kind of have to reset to be sure to close that out.
We basically resetted our mindsets and we said we got to wait out Baron. We outscale them. We have a better comp late game. So we basically waited for that. And it made the game last a lot longer than it should have, in my opinion.
Well, then you mentioned it went pretty long, and you were the hero in the end because you killed the Nexus. Talk me through the decision-making process and the calling for those last moments.
So basically, we killed all 4, and Caitlyn basically flashed with 1 HP, and they were like, whoa, Inhib's down. I don't know if I think Inhib was down, and then we had super minions, so we're like, Turtle, you can end it here. And I'm like, all right, let's do it. And then they said, if Caitlyn comes, you can probably just shit in her. And I'm like, okay.
Well, you did take him down, but it's only the beginning of the day here for you guys. You still have to win that rematch versus SK, of course, and then possibly more games and the rematch versus Royal Club. What has that moment done for you, the fact that you were the guy that decided it in the end? Did that help your self-confidence going into the rest of the day?
I hope so. I really hope it helps my confidence. But I think I'm doing pretty well right now, so I'm pretty confident right now, and we'll see.
All right, and then final question, just talk me through the momentum going in the rest of the day. This is a great start, but for the whole team, how big are your chances to close in on that #1 spot? It's so important.
Honestly, right now, we have a lot of momentum, and I think we can do it very easily with how we are right now.
Wow, big words. Well, thank you very much, guys. Give it up one more time for WildTurtle and TSM. All right, well, thank you very much, Turtle, and good luck later in the day. And now let's kick it back over to our guys at the desk.
Thank you very much, guys. Some die-hard TSM fans in the background.
Everywhere
you know what?
you go, you find
Deserving win. Just before I get Monty's opinion on the game, this does set us up potentially for a tiebreaker match at the end of the day. Both of these squads are 4-1 at the moment. So assuming they win their respective games later, that does set us up for a 7th game of the day. Right, Monty, back to the game. TSM, they took down Starhorn Royal Club. I want to say they strategically had a better grasp of the game. However, they didn't execute great because they lost Barons. I mean, you can't deny their map control.
It was pretty sloppy from both teams. There were a lot of objectives that were given up. Not enough diligence paid to the Baron. When you're playing against a team with Fizz, Kazakhs, Rise, you really have to respect that they can do that Baron nearly instantly. And coming back, it was mentioned by the casters as well, coming back to the Dragon without any wards on Baron is just silly. You send a couple people to Baron, you stagger, or you send a couple of people back to recall, you just make sure that they can't get that objective. There were a lot of opportunities for Starhorn Royal Club to get back into the game. Now, the team fighting from TSM, especially the Rumble Ultimates, were fantastic. Going back to picks and bans, I'm a little concerned about Starhorn's picks and bans because it seems like they don't really have a good grasp on their research of TSM. We saw that Nidalee ban coming in Game 1. This game, the Elise ban was a little weird. I think Rumble's not going to be on the table for TSM next time.
Crumb short before we move to the replays.
I think that InSec does not look comfortable in Kazakhs. They wanted to make sure to take the Elise in Kazakhs matchup. It was pretty obvious with the picks and bans with the Elise ban, but InSec was lost in that champion. Going into the replay that we're going to have is just, I don't want to see that again.
Well, you're going to have to, I'm afraid, because we're going to pull that replay up onto your screen. Crepo, talk me through it.
So yeah, this will be the game-winning fight. And once this fight goes out, a couple of things you want to pay attention is to just the spacing of TSM and then the equalizer that Dyrus is going to do. And obviously, the replay starts off with amazing steal. Just so yeah, roll the clip right here. And we can see he goes in for Dragon, and immediately TSM reacts with the equalizer, and it completely splits up left and right. And this is fine if Royal backs off, but InSec goes full man mode, gets turned on, and this is really bad for Royal Club. Once he's in, they try and follow the fight up, they try to keep fighting. Zero gets the idea that he can actually go in and get a good monsoon off to split up the team. Tidal Wave stops the Rise a little bit, but TSM is just fighting, and Turtle is just at the side. He's not being noticed. He could even go even more aggressive, in my opinion. That kick from Amazing was really good as well. 2 members knocked up. And as long as you don't touch a Tristana in fights, you're going to end up losing because her cleanup is so good. We saw that in the later fights as well. The later the game goes, if she's untouched, once there's down to 2 members, it's just going to end.
Yeah, and I think this really underscores how new this Rumble pick is to a lot of teams here at the World Championship, because it seems like a lot of people forgot. You don't fight Rumble on Dragons early in the game, especially when you're trying to outscale on Rise. Just give up the Dragon. Doesn't matter. 1,000 gold about. just have confidence that you are going to be able to outscale into that late game and don't just toss away everything immediately.
I'm glad you mentioned that. I personally was not impressed by Colo and Rise. The Fisher was talking about across the desk. You contrast Colo in other games to this one. Freak, give us your opinions and let's move on to the secondary play as well.
Yeah, so basically it just seemed, again, like Starhorn Royal Club did not know how to fight against this team, and it's actually very evidenced in our next replay, if you can pull that one up here, because basically what TSM wants to do is kite back. There's two really smart reasons for why TSM kites back here. This is like a mid-game and hitter push. Number one, there are no wards in the upper jungle right now, so as TSM retreats, they get to put wards down. Royal Club have no vision at all. The second thing that's great here is that right here there's like 3 angles of attack from Starhorn, which is bad for the Orianna Rumble lineup, whereas if you kite them into the jungle, they're coming in from the same spot, and then it's pretty much free. So roll the clip out, and you're going to see TSM just trying to run away in pretty much every way possible. Bubble buys them some time, they're going to run backwards, you're going to have the jump back, the tidal wave disengage as well. They're just burning everything to get out except their damage abilities. They're burning their disengage tools, and then running and running and running and running away, and it's finally once they get the team to funnel into this choke, once they overdive, then comes the turnaround. The Shark just barely misses. Zero, for some reason, never fully channels his Janna ultimate. I don't know why, but he clicks it once and then doesn't heal his team for 500 health. And then they just start getting mauled because they actually grouped up onto the AoE team.
Basically, Zero right there was trying to flank and force TSM back into his team. But what he didn't realize is that his mid laner just managed to miss his ulti completely. He ended up fighting on the equalizer. TSM members didn't get instantly dropped. And then Bjergsen came with the god-tiered Orianna ulti just off the equalizer. And then it's just so much damage. You don't fight in chokeholds against these teams.
Just a quick point. They're trying to team fight into a double AP comp, and nobody's building an Aegis. Where is this item? It's 20 MR for the whole team.
We have to have the Aegis numbers later. Okay, run it out. Go for it. Go for it.
Aegis stats real quick. TSM's total damage to champions was 93,000, 65,000 of which was magic damage. The actual math on lowering Rumble ulti damage, about 10 to 15% per person on the team. Less magic damage in Rumble by buying an Aegis.
That is massive. We do have to move on with the day, guys. So we got more action coming up as AHQ Esports Club will be taking on Turkey's Dark Passage. Let's take a quick behind-the-scenes peek at how the teams are preparing. It's, of course, AHQ once again in their ready rooms, getting themselves ready for one more game on stage. And Dark Passage, we'll see what they can do as we come back at the 2014 World Championship.
Flamespitter comes out. Nice ultimate.
Beautiful bubble from Lustboy.
And there's over 1,000 gold left. 4 members of TSM, they're going anyway.
Amazing gets the steal. Rumble out goes out. Look how it's separating the fight right now.
Fist. I'm here.
Fizz is low. Keep running. Don't walk into his trap, you got it.
Yes!
Nice.
Good job. Oh, this is Trump the Waters right in the face of Team Solo mid, but Royal Club is going to try to engage. The double kill coming in from Dyrus on Rumble. Corn to the backside. Bjergsen, he gets the Trickster damage. Zanya'd out, the double kill for Turtle. Bjergsen goes down, but he takes down Corn first. A double as well for Uzi. He's trying to keep himself alive.